Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Standards Committee meeting of the 29th of March 2022. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. We have apologies from Councillor Mrs June Lumley and Mr S Shadbolt. Are there any other apologies? There are none. Agenda item number 2, substitute members. There are no substitute members. Agenda item number 3, non-members attending. Councillor Mr Arthur Williams, portfolio holder for community, has joined us tonight. We also have guests from Brentwood Borough Council. We have Amanda Julian, Corporate Director, Legal and Governance and Monitoring Officer. And our other guest is Claire Mayhew, also from Brentwood Borough Council, Corporate Manager, Democratic Services. Good evening, Councillor. Mrs Cohen. Agenda item number 4, minutes of the meeting held on the 29th of June 2001. Are the minutes agreed, members? Agreed. Thank you. Agenda item number 5, to receive declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest, please, members? There are none. Agenda item number 6, local investigations and determinations from April 2021 to September 2021, and also October 2021 to March 2022. Our monitoring officer, Angela Law, will present this report.
Thank you, Chairman. As usual, this is a summary of complaints and queries received in relation to members' behaviour under the Code of Conduct. Usually this report is received twice yearly. However, given that the last Standards Committee meeting was cancelled, this Appendix 1 contains the whole year's complaints. You will see that there are 7 in total, and I'm happy to take any questions there may be from members.
Thank you, members. Councillor Mr Mike Wilkinson, please.
Thank you, Chair. Is that working?
Yes.
Good. Through you, Chair, for me, just to Angela, this is my first meeting with the Standards Committee, so forgive me because I have seen this report before, but I can't remember what was in it. The one thing that struck me from this was that out of the 7 complaints, at least 5, if not 6 of them, actually there's no breach under the code. And I wonder if that's a training issue for members, that actually for those, not to try and dissuade people from making complaints, because obviously that's their right, but maybe there's a misunderstanding as what does fall within the code and what doesn't, and I don't know if that's something that's being looked at.
Thank you. Angela?
It's not necessarily a training issue. Some of the complaints are actually from members of the public, so unless I can train all members of the public, okay. it's very hard to you know.
Sorry, I'd rather assume they were internal. Sorry.
No. If it assists in the future, I can add another column to say whether it's a member of the public or whether, or I could just put member of the public and leave it at that. So, yeah, not all the complaints are internal. Actually, I think most of them are members of the public who obviously don't really understand the technical side of the code.
I think that's a very good point that Councillor Mr Wilkinson's raised. Could you add that column?
Yes,
because I think that would help members. Members agree? Yeah. Councillor Robin Dray, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to remind members that under the Members' Code of Conduct, which is in the Constitution, that it does include members' and councillors' activities on social media. In addition, there is guidance given to councillors in respect of the use of social media, and I've asked the monitoring officer if a copy of that guidance can be resent to all councillors. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, Chairman, I can certainly send out the social media policy to all members. The policy is there designed to assist members when using social media policy, and it talks about the freedom of expression as well. So you will see there are a couple of complaints where it was about their behaviour on social media, but no breach was found. So given now that we're impaired, it might be useful to reissue that to all members. So I'll ensure that happens.
Of course.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. One other point is obviously the code of conduct, members' code of conduct, refers to members having respect for each other. And obviously that again extends to having respect for each other on social media. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Social media policy will deal with that.
Thank you. Councillor Mr Daniel Efty.
Thank you, Chair. We get this report and it just comes up with nothing to be taken or no breach of code of conduct. Doesn't seem to be any how you come to that decision. There's no like when we used to be in school, there's no like how you show your workings out. Is that something that maybe, especially with the social media stuff, a lot of these seems to be social media on here, and all of them no further action, or it hasn't, or not understanding the code of conduct. I understand what you're saying if it's members of the public putting this through. Don't quite know. It seems to be a big jump from when you get the complaint to when you get what's actually going to happen. There's nothing for us to see.
So Chairman, Councillor Efty, are you asking for more detail?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I can put more detail in there, but obviously I would not like to, because there's no further action on this, wouldn't want to start giving too much detail, which gives away who the councillor is and who the complainant is.
Do you get back to the complainant, like why there's no further action being taken?
I don't notify. I will look at it. I'll tell the complainant why there's no further action. So and I consult with the independent person. I don't usually, and I don't consult with the subject of complaint, because if it doesn't go anywhere, it rocks the relationship between the complainant and the subject of complaint. So and also if there's a future complaint to come forward, they'll know that there's been a complaint in the past, and I don't want vexatious complaints to start building.
Okay, so if you feel there's no action to be taken, you don't really inform the person the complaint's been made about.
No. Sometimes it like I said, it just hinders the relationship between the subject of complaint and the complainant who's making the complaint.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think members like to be told that there's a complaint against them, and it's just sometimes it can get too personal. If it doesn't go any further, as the complainant themselves are told exactly why the councillor hasn't breached the code,
Okay.
and why the complaint doesn't go any further, and usually that ends the matter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Members, are there any other questions? Councillor Mrs Tony Carter, please.
Thank you, Chair. Angela, can I just ask you, is there an appeals panel, or is there an appeals after this? Your decision is final?
My
or
decision is
appeal?
final.
It is. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, members? No, there are none. So, members, there's a recommendation at paragraph 4.1 on page 6.1 of the report. The recommendation is that the summary of complaints and determinations for the period April 2021 to March 2022 be received. Is that received, members?
Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you. Moving on, agenda item number 7, safeguarding training. Louise Moss is here tonight, our Assistant Director for People and Communities, who will present this report.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this report is to ask this committee to consider whether to mandate level 1 safeguarding training for all councillors. The reason for this is detailed in the report, but principally and predominantly it's to ensure a whole organisational approach to safeguarding. In fact, it's everyone's responsibility at all levels, and it shows continuing commitment against our policy. The level 1 training, as detailed in the report, is a very basic awareness training, and it is going to be virtual, so hopefully that also allows accessibility to the training. It doesn't detail this in the report, but it will only be 30 minutes, and some councillors around this table would have experienced that training already. And we are proposing that it's annual. And I would say that the training, if you have experienced the training already, is a very localised training session, as in it takes examples of safeguarding concerns and issues that have been experienced by officers and possibly members, and allows officers and members to visualise it easily and determine the best course of action from it. So I'll leave that for the committee, and any questions, please do let me know.
Thank you. Councillor Mr FD.
Thank you, Chairman. I think this is a really great idea. Every councillor should have safeguarding training, because when you're out and about visiting residents, you need to stop and think sometimes before you do something. But the only question I've got, we're looking at making this mandatory, how would we enforce it? Because if they don't turn up, it goes, there's no committee or anything you can stop them sitting on, like development or anything like that. So that, I think that's where it might fall down a little bit.
Councillor FD, just the answer is probably within the legal implications of the report. Although we can't make it a legal requirement for mandatory training, obviously if you do agree that it should be mandatory, then obviously the enforcement of it will be through the influence of group leaders.
Okay.
Sorry, Councillor FD, if I can just add to that, it is through the group leaders, but I think from a group point of view, reputationally, it doesn't look too good on the groups if some of their members do not attend.
Thank you. Councillor Angelina Marriott, please.
But how are you going to encourage parishes to take part?
Just one moment. Councillor Mr FD is quite correct. Just need to have a microphone round to you.
I seldom need a mic, but I'll take this gentleman's offer.
Thank you.
Right, how do you involve parishes? And also, is there a cost involved to us? Because sometimes with regard to our DC training, in the past for various courses, there has been a cost beyond 1 or 2 complementary places.
Yeah, I'll answer that. Just to confirm, there would be no cost, and training would be offered as normal route. So as and when training is offered to councillors, it will be opened up to all parishes at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, members? Okay, I would like to say totally agree with Councillor Mr FD's comments. Fully support this. What I would like to see is there the opportunity for members to also do level 2 training. With regard to the parish councillors, I'm pleased that it will be offered to all, as they're really our front line often, who are meeting the residents on a continuous day-to-day basis, and that there is no cost. Perhaps members, parish members who are here can take this back and encourage other parishes to send their members along. So, yeah, just back to my first question, is there the opportunity to do level 2, please?
There is opportunity to do level 2, and beyond that, there's a certain amount of free training, e-learning training as well, through the Essex Safeguarding Adults and Children's Board, and I'm very happy to share that information to councillors should they want to progress with level 2.
Thank you. Okay, members, there is one recommendation at paragraph 9.1 on page 7.3 of the report. that level 1 safeguarding training is made mandatory for all elected members. Can those members in favour please raise their hands? Thank you very much, members. That is unanimous. And that concludes our meeting for the evening, members. Thank you very much for coming along this evening. Thank you.